Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I am MrWarrenHayes. Hello, and welcome to my podcast where we talk about professional wrestling, the week in professional wrestling. And today is June 2nd, first Thursday of the month of June. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you guys straight off the bat, as you probably know, I record the intros to the show after I'm done recording. Now, brace yourselves. This is a long one. It's a long one. I go really heavy into AEW with the Double or Nothing review, with the Dynamite recap, and of course talking about the MJF stuff. I sprinkle a little bit of WWE, Hell in a Cell preview, Best of Super Juniors wrap up. You know, there's a lot of stuff here that I cover throughout this show. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the intro because I want you guys to get right to it. There's a lot of stuff. So listen, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe. I appreciate that so much. That helps out tons. If you want to become a member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel, go right ahead. You'll get access to some super secret, exclusive, members only streams, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. Yes, and content just for members. So jump right in there. That stuff is awesome. You can also leave a super thanks as a comment, or just leave a comment. If you leave a super thanks as a comment, I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much. And I'll read your super thanks on the next show next week. Absolutely will. Leave comments as well. I love some discussion. I like talking about pro wrestling, so leave some stuff. Let's chat it up. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you all so very much. Leave a 5-star review on Apple. Leave a 5-star rating on Spotify. Show some love anywhere you can. I really appreciate that as well. All these little things, they help the channel grow tremendously, and there has been some growth recently. I'm really excited about it, but I'm really excited for you guys to get into tonight's edition of the podcast, because holy smokes, look, happy Pride Month to everyone. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Let's get right to it. Let's get this going. But before we get things going, here's something nice that I have to say about Bill Goldberg, because it's my New Year's resolution kind of thing. MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg. When Bill Goldberg buys a plane ticket, he gets on that plane. MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg. I'm so topical. Let's kick it off for the weekly wrestling inspection. If anyone's been listening to this for a couple of weeks now, you know that I am committed to following through the Bobby Lashley Omos saga that really, for me took off at WrestleMania this year. And I've seen every one of their pay-per-view matches. So I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go hard in the final stretch, right? Because we're coming into the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this weekend. So I'm like, okay, I gotta talk about this. I gotta talk about it. So the next part of the, as you will recall, last week Bobby Lashley had an almighty challenge, which ended up having MVP getting to pick the stipulation for their match at Hell in a Cell, and MVP decided to make a 2-on-1. Omos and MVP versus Robert Lashlington. Nice to see you, Diego Rafael Solis Rivera. So this week, as we continue on this show, as we continue, MVP and Lashley had a contract signing, and Omos, they had a contract signing. I mean, someone in WWE was like, oh, Warren is here. Let's make sure that we deliver like the thing that, the one thing that will add the spice to his life, right? The thing that he really digs the most, right? Jesus. So the last leg, I have to sit through a contract signing for a match that's already been announced, and the stipulations have already been decided, and everything's set. Like, they've done the graphics, it's booked on the card. We got to sit through a fucking contract signing. And I'm like, this is not going to be an inspired contract signing, right? So look, MVP and Lashley, it goes exactly how you think it'll go. They sit down, MVP's doing all the talking for Omos, they do their banter back and forth. MVP says, I don't want to wait for Sunday, let's fight now. Lashley's like, let's go. Lashley, of course, flips the table, cause, right? And before he and Omos can go for it, there's you get a bevy of security dweebs who hit the ring, and then Lashley starts tossing them out of the ring before he gets chop blocked by Cedric Alexander, right? And that's how we go off the air, with Bobby Lashley getting triple teamed as opposed to just being double teamed. Now, what I will point out here is how absolutely 100% dead in the water this segment was. No reactions from the audience at all. And this program is doomed when you get security dweebs hitting the ring and getting tossed. Now, usually speaking, when the security dweebs hit the ring and they start getting tossed, people get excited for that because it's a fun visual to see a bigger dude tossing black shirts around, right? Usually that's fun. At least when Wardlow does it, it's a lot of fun recently, right? They got like a dozen of these dweebs hitting the ring, and there is nothing from the audience. It's just dead, kaput, an extinguished flame. It sucked. It was really bad. And this was the main event of Raw this week. This is how they closed the go-home show to Raw. Let's talk about Hell in a Cell. Let's go ahead. Let's do my predictions. Let's do my preview. Preview and predictions. As it stands right now, I believe there are 6 matches. There perhaps could be one added. There could be one added tomorrow on SmackDown, because as Heather points out, as it stands right now, these are all matches from the Raw brand. There is not a single competitor from SmackDown on this card. If you want to believe that. Believe it, brother. This is where we're at. I'm thinking Ricochet versus Gunter. That would be the only, right? From what I understand, that would be the only one viable right now. Let's go through the card. Main event is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins in a cell. It is a cell match. Credit where credit is due. Oh my God, not Moss versus Corbin. No. No one wants that. No one wants that. No, anyway. Let's backtrack a little bit here. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, in a cell. Okay, so as I was saying, that's right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Credit where credit is due. Past Hell in a Cell pay-per-views were like, oh, there are too many Hell in a Cells. There's just too many of them. There's just too many of them. I'm like, all right, sure. You get 2, you get 3. You're like, okay, it loses its luster. This is the only cell match on Hell in a Cell. So like I said, credit where credit is due. They're doing it right, and it's for a feud for which the cell makes sense. Because Cody and Seth have been having a barn burner of a feud, at least in regards to their matches together. I don't think the build has been, like the intersecting things have been all that great, but that's just me, and I haven't been watching everything either. I've just been focusing on key moments. But like, if you're going at this stage right now in WWE, if you're going to put a feud in a cell, that's the one you do. There's no one else, right? Like, to a degree, I was I was saying to myself, I bet you $10 that they do Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin in the cell, right? Because like in the minds of creative, this is a long-standing feud that demands this type of resolution, but it doesn't. It sucks. Cody and Seth doesn't suck. Their WrestleMania match was great. Their match at Backlash was better. And I am expecting to be extremely entertained by this match. I'm legitimately excited to watch it. This should be a lot of fun. It will probably be, umpteen times better than Cody versus The Miz. There's no reason for this to not be great. There's really, really, really no reason for this to not be great. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a cell feud that makes sense. Chapeau, right? Tip of the hat. Good job. Like this was one of the complaints that I've had, that many people have had in regards to the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, that they've fixed out the gate. One cell match for a feud that matters. Then we're going to get Bianca Belair defending her Raw Women's Championship against Asuka and Becky Lynch. I'm a little disappointed when they decided to make this a triple threat. I was very excited to see Bianca and Asuka just work together, just to see what they could do one-on-one. But, it's not that big a deal. Triple threat championship matches irk me. Like that's, have you ever heard of baseball? The game baseball? It's a sport. And you have strikes, right? When you're at the bat, you have 3 chances to hit the ball. They're called strikes. Look at me, like assuming y'all are like 2 years old. A triple threat championship match starts with a strike for me. It doesn't do much for me, and I think it skews me away from it skews me from the fun of a championship match, which is champion and contender. This, I feel, is it to add some smoke and mirrors? Is it to, Bianca and Asuka working for the first time together? It could be multiple reasons why they're deciding to do this, and who knows? Nonetheless, these women are super talented. I like all 3 of them. I'm stoked to see Asuka back in I'm stoked to see Asuka back in a pay-per-view like this. I have no idea how the build went. I just know that for some reason they threw Becky Lynch into the mix. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to this match. I'm looking forward to both of these 2 matches here. Hey, Katie from the Shalit Showcase. Nice to see you. Welcome. Glad I could help you out with the understanding of what baseball is. And no, you're right. I did not give some predictions as far as Cody Rhodes versus Rollins goes. You know what? I'm going to go with Cody. I think he should clean sweep this. Like, if I'm booking, he should clean sweep this feud. Cody wins. And then you stop, right? This is where you end it with Cody so that you can start prepping him for SummerSlam so he can take the belt off of Roman. That's right. You heard it. You heard me. Who else on this roster is going to take the belt off of Roman? Yeah, chat, let me know who you think is going to win. But I'm going with Cody. If I'm booking this and Cody won the 2 last matches, Cody clean sweeps this. Seth is going to be like, people are, oh, Seth is going to look weak. Seth Rollins has never looked weak. He will never look weak in WWE. As far as the triple threat for the Raw Women's title, I think Bianca should retain. I think that's what should happen. Bianca should retain. I don't know who pins who, because like I said, if I had been really invested in the build, I probably would have an opinion, as opposed to me being very invested in the build to Bobby Lashley versus Omos and MVP in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Now you guys know I'm committed to seeing this one through. I am absolutely committed to seeing this one through. And I think Omos and MVP win here. because none of this has made sense so far. Why did Omos lose the WrestleMania match? You got me. Like it has to be Omos. And Bobby Lashley is going to be protected because he lost to a 2-on-1. If we're being honest with each other, MVP is going to be the element that will probably add some entertainment to this. But this is not going to be a good match. This is not going to be good. We've seen 2 papes of Bobby Lashley versus Omos, and they stink. It's going to keep stinking. I think Omos and I see chat here saying Bobby's going to win. I really think Omos and MVP are going to do it here because it's 2-on-1. Charlotte wins. You crazy kooks. Kevin Owens takes on Ezekiel. Look, I've seen bits and bobs of the Kevin Owens Ezekiel stuff because I love Kevin Owens, and it's not just because we're countrymen, because he was born in a town like about 2.5 hours away from where I live. Not because I saw him on the indies back when he was just a tot, and he still has the same hairdo, by the way. No, aside, like, Kevin Owens is absolutely a gem, and everyone who showers praise over Kevin Owens is absolutely right to do so. He is a beacon in the darkness that is WWE creative, right? And I think this Ezekiel stuff has been goofy enough. It's been goofy, right? It's been goofy, but Kevin's been carrying it in a way where it's it's easy to digest. It's easy to consume. Now, do I think this match is going to be good? I think Kevin Owens is going to do his damnedest to get a good match out of Ezekiel. I think he's going to do his damnedest. And yeah, I'll go with Ezekiel winning. You have to get this gimmick over. You have to get this over. And Kevin Owens, no problem if he takes a loss here. He does. Kevin Owens, you know what? I'm pretty sure he goes home to his wife and kids, over there in Maryville, and he sits down, or as we say around here, Maryville, and he sits down on his couch, he kicks up his feet, and he goes like, "Is that whatever they want to do with me is fine. I got my match with Stone Cold." I got Ezekiel. Why can't I say his name? DGMC, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. No, we don't all know each other, by the way. Next, we got Theory versus Mustafa Ali for the United States Championship. Mustafa Ali, look, the feud that I want is, the match that I want is Mustafa Ali versus Tommaso Ciampa. That's the one I want. That's the one we all want. I don't know what the Theory thing is, but it's really like, hey, Mustafa Ali, thank you for hanging around. Thank you for hanging around. Thank you for not going too hard on us on social media. We've got something for you. We're going to have you lose to Theory, who is really the guy that we're pushing. I'm not invested in this match. I don't like Austin Theory. I love Mustafa Ali. So what are you going to do? Theory retains. Theory retains, right? Am I right? Am I right, folks? Oh, we've got a split decision here. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Then we have also, we've got Theory retaining. There we go. We've got Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Liv Morgan, who I believe are the Bullet Club, right? I think this is what it is, right? They're the Bullet Club now. It's not Jay White. It's not with it's not Jay White with Taiji Ishimori, with the Good Brothers. No, we're done with that, right? It's the Bullet Club versus the Judgment Day. Is there a "the" before it? Is that the Judgment Day? It's not just Judgment Day. It's the Judgment Day. Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. I don't care. I don't care. I look, I'm happy. This is what I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. I'm happy that Liv Morgan fans are happy. I think, is that a fair sentiment? I think that's the Bullet Club. Get the but seriously, like I'm really happy that Liv Morgan fans are happy, because clearly they are, because they were happy enough to get a lot of people pissed off on the internet when they all started throwing the Too Sweet tour, right? Got a lot of people mad, a lot of people angry. So good for Liv fans. I think Judgment Day wins, because it seems like the thing they want to put over. So there you go. Do I think this is going to be a good show? I think that this is a two-match card, and everything else is... Look, here's the thing. Finn, AJ, Damian Priest, Rhea, these are all super talented wrestlers. Like, it's... The only thing that keeps me from going, like, all in on this and going, yeah, this is going to be great, this match will be great, is because of WWE producing. That's the only reason that sort of drags me back. And I'm like, temper your expectations here, brother. You're not getting a PWG style trios match here. You're getting a WWE 6-man tag. So it's going to be 2 people on the floor, 2 people doing a thing, then switching in and out like that. Like, you know, I already know. The Best of Super Juniors 29 is done over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, well, there's only the finals that are left if we want to be really jerky about it. The finals have been decided earlier this week. And by the time you listen to this, if you're not listening to this live, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about right now is going to be irrelevant, because Hiromu Takahashi and El Desperado are going to have won their blocks, A block and B block respectively. Hiromu Takahashi ending the tournament with 12 points. Same with El Desperado. Both of the finals being decided at the very last match. The last match for Block B was Desperado versus Phantasmo, who both ended up with 12 points apiece. But then the tiebreaker kicks in, El Desperado has it over El Phantasmo because he defeated him, so he moves forward. Same situation with Block A with Hiromu and Taiji Ishimori, current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Same situation right there. Hiromu was coming in at 10. Ishimori was already at 12. So there you go. If we want to run down the standings real quickly, Sho and Ace Austin in Block A were tied at 10 points. Clark Connors, Alex Zane, Francesco Akira, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru all finished at 8. And Rizuki Taguchi winds up the rear end with 6 points. Everyone just listening right now doesn't know why I took a long pause there. They just don't know. See, sometimes there's an advantage to watching my ugly mug. Block B had El Desperado and El Phantasmo tied for 12, as we mentioned. Then we had Robbie Eagles and Wheeler Yuta at 10. Bushi, El Lindemann, Master Wato, TJP, and Titan all had 8 points at the end, with Daoki finishing up at 6. So the finals are taking place, as I said, this Friday. The card has been announced, so the finals are, and the main event Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado. Maybe, I'll break it, do some analysis in a second here. Continue talking about the card. The rest of the card resembles as follows. Kazuchika Okada, Toru Yano, Tama Tonga, and Jado are going to be taking on Jay White, Dog Gallows, Taiji Shimori, and Gedo. So it's a combination of Chaos and the Hantai side versus a Bullet Club 8-man tag. So I'm expecting some Okada and Jay White nonsense here to set up their match coming up at Dominion on June 12, which is really not that far away. Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito, and Bushi of LIJ will be taking on the Suzuki-gun group of Taichi, Taka Michinoku, and Doki. Taichi and Shingo also have a match over at Dominion, so this is going to probably set some stuff up here for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy. The stipulations haven't been announced yet, nothing at all, so we'll see what happens there. Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan and Aaron Hanare of the United Empire will be taking on the Bullet Club team of Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, and El Fantasmo. Smells like Aaron Hanare is taking the pin here. Again, Jeff Cobb, Great Okan having a match at Dominion against Bad Luck Fale and Owens for the IWGP Tag Team Champions. Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Zack Sabre Jr. and Kanemaru will be taking on Evil and Show of the House of Torture. And then we have Hanma taking on Rock Hard Juice Robinson. And we have Taguchi and Master Wato taking on TJP and Francesco Akira. And Robbie Eagles, Yo, Titan, and Clark Connors will be taking on El Lindemann, Ace Austin, Wheeler Yuta, and Alex Zane. So the New Japan boys, well, no, that's not right. That's not true. Titan is in there. I was going to say the New Japan boys versus the Gaijin, but no, that's not right. That's not right at all. So I'll just move on. But yeah, so essentially the rest of the Best of Super Juniors field is going to be fighting in an 8-man tag. I really so this is all happening on the 3rd, right? And like I mentioned last week, it would seem that New Japan is possibly lifting the crowd restriction for crowd noise, I should say. They're lifting the crowd noise restriction upcoming this week for the June 3rd show, because they've been talking about it quite a bit. Not they, but wrestlers have been going up and down about it. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. That would be great, because look, Hiromu and El Desperado is the safe choice. And, you know, I've been hammering this home since the beginning of the year. It's the 50th anniversary of New Japan this year. Full capacity venues are possible now. We're going to lift the restriction on crowd noise. The last 2 years for New Japan have not been great creatively, financially. It just has been a really tough couple of years. I fully expected them to make very, very safe decisions this year. Ergo, put the main title back on Kazuchika Okada, who is the top guy, and he will carry the company. He'll get everyone excited to come see him until he has to go have a baby, because apparently his wife is pregnant. He's going to be a dad in August. So congratulations to Okada. There's literally going to be a little Kazu now hanging around, which is pretty dope. It's safe choices, right? Safe choices. They're not going to do anything too drastic, at least not at first. So Hiromu, Despi, it's the safe choice. Karen Peterson, who is a wonderful commentator in regards to Japanese wrestling, when we were talking about it, she pointed out to me that, you know, this is Naito Okada, but for the juniors. Like, it's a safe choice. You know, it's maybe not the most daring choice, but it's a safe choice, and you're guaranteed a good match, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. It makes sense to me when you look at it that way. It is a safe choice, and why not give it to us? Hiromu and Desperado had one of my favorite matches of 2020 for the IWGP Junior heavyweight title, and I thought it was no, it was was it for the finals of Best of Super Juniors? I think it was the finals, right? I'm confused because it was later in the year. But they had one of my favorite matches of that year, just absolutely fantastic, to a silent, barely existing audience. So they really deserve to have a wild match, a redo of that match in front of a live crowd. And I'm excited for it. And I hope they get it. But, there's nothing, had they pulled like a finals with El Fantasmo versus El Lindemann, I would have been, holy shit, okay. Or Ace Austin. Oh my God. That would have been really, really, really outstanding. So the tournament's wrapping up. I thought it was a very good tournament. I really thought it was a very good tournament this year. Was it an excellent tournament? I wouldn't say so. As much as the wrestling was solid throughout, there's always a couple of matches on the side, right? And especially Taguchi matches this year. There was a lot of comedy in it. And maybe not, and there was, Kanemaru and Ishimori as well. A few strays aside, every night of Best Super Juniors 29 this year was a breeze to watch. It was brilliant. You could just sit down, 2 to 3 hours of just great pro wrestling. Just great pro wrestling by guys who are hungry, by guys who have something to prove. Just everyone excited that the tournament is back on an international level. There are matches that I really, really liked throughout. ELP versus Titan on May 22nd, I think, is one of the first that I really got into. Wheeler Yuta versus El Desperado, again on the same show. Fantastic stuff. Francisco Akira versus Alex Zane on May 24th, I thought was really good. TJP versus Titan as well on the same show. The May 24th show, and if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me right, the May 24th show is available for free on New Japan World. So even if if you want to get into New Japan and you want to see what all the ruckus is about, especially when it comes to this tournament this year, it's a good night to get into because I thought it seems to me it was pretty good from top to bottom. Lots of very good matches on it. Yo versus Hiromu, TJP versus Robbie Eagles from May 25th, Ace Austin versus Alexander on that night. But, and I thought both finals from May 31st as well were really good. Hiromu versus Ishimori and El Desperado versus El Fantasmo. I will say, I think I preferred the Fantasmo Desperado match a wee bit more. But just very, very, very good stuff. But the match of the tournament, Robbie Eagles versus El Fantasmo, and it's not even close. This is the kind of tournament that it was. Everything is very, very good. You've got some great matches. There's not much here where you can go, wow, that's a weird one, There's a lot of great stuff, but the one that just stood apart from the entire pack, the one that was just great, an excellent pro wrestling match. Robbie Eagles, El Fantasmo. And if anything, this helped define, I think, in the minds of a lot of people who weren't on board yet, that El Fantasmo is one of the best, most well-rounded juniors, light heavyweights, cruiserweights, whatever. They're not cruiserweights, that's a 205. Junior heavyweights out there. He is absolutely remarkable. And he proved it in this match. He proved it throughout the tournament. And he got a good push in the tournament too. But right up to this point here, Robbie Eagles, ELP, chef's kiss. Performance, that's the entire tournament right there. That's the one that you should go out of your way to watch. Absolutely. Hey, a machine, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And Evan, right? Good to see you as well, sir. Now, I've posited in the past that perhaps, because we're sitting here talking about extraordinary performances, and I'm zeroing in on Robbie Eagles and El Desperado, who were never really upper crust of the juniors division, but you feel like in this tournament it's been elevated somewhat more. Robbie Eagles, former champion, former junior champ, of course, but this one was elevated. I think both guys were elevated a little more throughout the tournament. So it got me thinking about Hiromu. We'll see what he does at the finals, right? But this is not the Hiromu from 2016, 2017, 2018, who's just going absolutely nuts and pulling off these incredible feats night after night. Of course, he had that extremely scary neck injury, which rightfully so, like pulled back on what he can do, which is, absolutely normal, right? Why wouldn't you? But I've posited, right, that he might be sort of closing out his time in the junior division and maybe considering a transition up to the heavyweight division, which is a style where he could continue to do some of the, high-flying stuff that he does, but in a more grounded way, without that expectation that comes when you watch a juniors match, where you're like, they have to be flying all over the place, speed, agility, maybe just him for the rest of his career to sustain himself a little longer. Maybe he's going to be moving on to the heavyweights, but I'm talking maybe not this year, a long-term thing. Maybe like next year, right? Like a lot of juniors have done and will continue to do. And right, see, chat points it out, like Will Ospreay. It's it's not the Hiromu from 3, 4, 5 years ago that we saw in this tournament. And I don't think we're ever going to see that Hiromu again because of the nature of what happened, because of his injuries, because, the body can only take so much as well, right? But we'll eventually get, he will eventually, when I say he, Ospreay, not Ospreay, but Hiromu will eventually be able to I'm sure he'll be able to move up to the heavyweights and continue to be very prosperous in his career. Let's put it that way. Very, very much prosperity for Hiromu. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen on that front. But like I said, I thought this was a very entertaining. I thought it was an entertaining tournament, and we got to talk about really quickly about the. We got to talk about the Gaijin, right? The international wrestlers who had a hell of a showing, like a really, really impressive showing. Ace Austin was in contention to the very end. And you know what? Here's the thing about Ace Austin, right? Here's the thing about Ace Austin. Comes in, he has the, he's from Impact, X Division champion, so on and so forth. But here he is on a huge international stage. And he looks like $1 million. And he's wrestling like $1 million. If there's any guy in this tournament that came in with his stock, that's leaving with his stock raised, it's that dude right there. That dude right there. Ace Austin was fantastic. Got over like crazy with the audience as well. You want to talk about another dude who got over? Alex Zane, who completely embraced the culture. I talked about it. Taking pictures of himself with his food and, going sightseeing, typing in Japanese. Like, I don't know how much he was assisted with a translator or not, but I was impressed. And I'm like, look, if I'm Japanese and I'm seeing this tall dude all dressed in red with the curly mustache and the thing, the it's not a braid, but the strand of hair that he twirls. I'm like, I love this guy. He looks like an anime character, and good for him. Because there's another guy whose stock was raised. I'm sure he's gonna go back. He's gonna come back to America. He's gonna do some strong New Japan strong. But honest to God, I'm convinced that if you gave him the opportunity, he would not come back. He would not leave Japan. He's so friggin' over. It's crazy and good for him. Wheeler Yuta did very well. I'll tell you one thing. Out of those three, I felt Yuta didn't shine as brightly as the two others. And I think it might be a combination of things. Might be just as basic as, nerves. Because he wrestled real well. Really, really well. Strong matches, but never anything that just blew you away here. And I think he might have been trying to adapt this, multiple influences, right? Being the pure champion and then the BCC ruggedness. And, I think he's trying to find, he was trying to find a mix of all of it. And I don't think we're quite there yet. I'm not saying he sucked. Absolutely not. But I'll tell you one thing. Wheeler Yuta wasn't available to fight with the rest of his teammates over this weekend at Double or Nothing. And guess what? They lost. I'm just putting that out there. The first time that the Blackpool Combat Club go out as a unit without Wheeler Yuta, they fucking lose. I'm just, And El Lindemann, fantastic. And we had seen how great he was, and he just continues to be fantastic. He had a really good showing in this tournament. Just so much great. It was a fun tournament. It felt like an international tournament. I'm really glad that we were able to get some good stuff out of New Japan this year in that regard of a good, dynamic, entertaining round robin. I was here for it. Strap yourselves in. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, we are reviewing AEW Double or Nothing 2022. Did I think this was a good show? I was entertained. Do I think... ultimately, I think it was overall a fun show. I think there were a lot of... There were... Do I call them low points? I think there might be some low points because it wasn't a show that delivered from top to bottom, and I think there's a bit of unfairness because people were like, wasn't as good as All Out 2021. Well, All Out 2021 is going to be regarded as a legend of a pay-per-view, right? So it's very unfair to compare, right? But when I think about Double or Nothing 2022, even, in regards to past Double or Nothings, I think this was not quite it didn't stick as much as the past two pay-per-views where, Revolution and even Full Gear, I thought that these were hits. They were just delivering hits and hits and hits. Whereas here, it faltered. It felt like we were coming back to some discourse that exists in regards to AEW pay-per-views, where it's like, a couple of really good matches, but they can't deliver from top to bottom on the card. But you'll see, I'm not sitting here poo-poo face, stomping my feet saying this show sucked. But we've definitely had better. Let's start with the pre-show match, if you don't mind. Pre-show match was, of course, Hook and Danhausen defeating Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Look, there's not much to really analyze out of this match. It did exactly what it needed to do. You know what the deal was. This was a comedy combination crowd pleaser match. The baby faces won. Mark Sterling is a treasure. That's, he came in, did the match. We wouldn't be done seeing him throughout the evening, but he looked fine in the match here. And, we're continuing doing the Hook Tony Nese thing, right? This was not the end of the feud. The end of the feud is Hook and Tony Nese. That's upcoming. Good opener. First official match of the card was Wardlow defeating MJF, with MJF trying everything he could to sneak out of the match and not really putting up much of a fight. Powerbomb Symphony. Wardlow gets the fairly easy win. Huge victory for him, positioning him as an absolute beast for the men's division. That continues on. But of course, there's more to an MJF pay-per-view appearance now, right? We have to talk about the saga now. We're talking about MJF. Because, look, this match was all about the angle, but there was an entirely other level to this. On Saturday, MJF had skipped a scheduled meet and greet, right, at the Fan Fest in Vegas, right? And everyone was saying no one can reach him by phone. He's not picking up. He's not picking up. He's not picking up. And everyone was like, there's a certain level of worry that can kick in. I can understand that. Like, I myself was like, oh, he's not picking up his phone. And I was like, well, it's MJF. Right? This was Saturday. Later that evening, we have Sean? I said it right the first time. Why did I? Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. He reported that there was a flight booked for MJF out of Vegas to Newark for some ungodly reason. Who the fuck wants to go to Newark on a red eye? I'm joking. But it was reported that the flight was booked for MJF. And then the speculation started, and it was not known who booked the flight, right? Who booked the flight? And then it was followed up later by saying that MJF was not on the plane. He did not board the flight. And it led to the absolute most boring drama of them all, where the weirdos decided to focus on, was he on the plane? Was he on the plane? Was he not? Was there a ticket in the first place? Or are the news sites getting worked? Or are they a part of the work? And then just raining on, you fucked up, you got it wrong, so on and so forth. And I saw that for a straight 48 hours, and I could not fathom that this is what we were talking about. I can't believe that this is what occupied the brains of people for these 48 hours, that someone reported somewhere something that happened, and the thing that was supposed to happen didn't happen. Welcome to news breaking in wrestling, where everyone, and I am not saying Sean got his information wrong. Like, this is not what I'm going to say here. But it happened. This is what happens. Everyone fucks up once in a while. Someone gets a story wrong. Someone, screws up a detail, whatever. And this is what the weirdos focus on, as opposed to like the pristine track record that such writer, reporter, whatever you want to call him, has up until that point. Oh, everything else is suddenly made moot because plane ticket and MJF didn't take the plane, and there wasn't even a plane ticket, and this is what people focused on. And this is what people started to make a drama over. This is what clogged my fucking timeline on Twitter. While in the meantime, I'm actually wondering, I want to hear about MJF and Tony Khan. I want to hear about his contract status. This is the stuff that I'm interested in at this point, right? This is, yeah, plan never took off. It was booked. They're making up shit. Because that's how they sound. All of them. Boring is what it was. Boring. Because everything else is exciting. That was shit. Stupid ass numbnuts controversy. On Sunday, AEW decided to remove the hype videos for the MJF Wardlow matches from their YouTube channel. They were tweeting out the matches for the pay-per-view, but without the MJF Wardlow graphic. People were like, oh my God, is he going to show up? Is he not? And I had people who position themselves, not unlike myself, as wrestling pundits. Was that thunder? I sure the hell hope so. Because otherwise, someone took a bad spill in the stairs. But I had people, again, positioning themselves as wrestling know-it-alls like myself, connoisseurs, knowledgeable, right? Setting themselves up and saying, oh, well, this is all Tony Khan who wants to generate some buzz, for his pay-per-view, right? This is people, he wants people to generate some buzz, some interest. On the Sunday, look, on the late Saturday, the day before your pay-per-view, you're going to start running this kind of stuff. For what? For more buys? Why would you be doing this? Why would anyone think this is something? Because the people who put this out, they're very bitter for some reason in regards to AEW. They hate it. A lot of them are excited to see AEW fail for some ungodly reason. Probably because they don't like wrestlers getting paydays. I think that's what it is. I think they hate the sport of wrestling. I think that's what it is. There's no other reason. But, let's think about this logically. Let's think about this. You're on a pay-per-view schedule, right? So basically, at this point, on the Saturday, the Sunday, I think, there's still some buys out there, but your hype is done because your TV shows are done. There's nothing else. There's nothing else you can go get on television, right? So what you're doing here is you're playing the internet wrestling community online, the Twitter bubble. I'm pretty sure that at this point, most people have made up their minds as to whether or not they're buying the pay-per-view. Whether or not MJF shows up or not, like under that speculation, I think everyone has already made up their mind regardless. And no disrespect, but this is not a Wednesday night free on TV show where this kind of angle, I'm like, yeah, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you do. This will probably draw a few more eyeballs in. Now you're asking people to shell out $60 to watch a pay-per-view in case someone who is scheduled to be on the pay-per-view won't show up. How does that even begin to make sense? How does anyone in their right mind who is out of the fucking Twitter bubble will hear this news and like, oh, a wrestler might not appear on the card. Well, let me get out these bills here. Let me call my cable provider. Ask them if they're carrying AEW double nothings. Now, what if I'll go on Bleacher Report or on Fight? How does any of that make sense? If this was an angle set up for a Wednesday night, it makes perfect sense. But you're away from TV. Your go-ho shows are done. Your go-home shows are done. Excuse me. There's nothing more that you can communicate on a high level outside of your Twitter following, outside of your people on social media. How is telling your audience this wrestler legitimately might not show up, how is that a strategy to generate buys? To have people tune in on a Wednesday? Sure. But this is a thing that I've seen pundits out there put this forward as something that, apparently this is a viable way to create some buzz and maybe get some buys. How does that make sense? I'm telling y'all, there are people out there that you should not be listening to. And I like to think that at the very least, I don't steer you completely into the wall with my opinions, with my thoughts. You don't have to agree with everything, but I like to think that, not that I'm measured, I'm not. I know what I like, I know what I don't like. But I like to think that I respect your intelligence enough to not to try and have you swallow some weird ass story where it's like AEW's running a shoot angle, a work shoot for their pay-per-view so that people might buy their show knowing that MJF won't show up. I don't understand. I don't understand how that leap in logic makes sense, other than being bitter at AEW, wanting AEW to fail and come across as morons, and ultimately exposing yourself as someone who does not like pro wrestling. Because if all you do is sit around and wish on the failure of AEW and calling them out for things that don't really exist, that's what your end goal is. You want AEW to fail, you want it to disappear off the face of the earth, you want wrestlers to stop getting paid. You want to take away the possibility for wrestlers to go into an environment where they can make a steady paycheck. Oh, fuck you. Let's go back to MJF. Excuse me for the aside. He shows up at the pay-per-view. That's the goddamn thing. He shows up. And there's a tweet, right? MJF tweets out when Tony Khan is doing the media scrum later on after the pay-per-view, right? There's a tweet that he puts out, right? That he deleted after. The tweet was like, fucking LOL, fuck this place, man. Because a journalist was asking Tony Khan to comment on MJF's contract status, and Tony Khan said, no. I'm not talking about that or whatever. And that pissed him off and he deleted it. If you don't think... Anyway, look. That's it. MJF, as we know, hasn't been shy talking about his contract status with the company, right? Which, he told Ariel Helwani that it comes up in 2024, January 1st, 2024, right? And apparently that interview, got and made Tony Khan a little hot, right? Because the interview didn't go through the proper AEW public relations channels, right? And there is also rumors that MJF wanted a raise without getting a contract extension, right? These are rumors and that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. No one gets a raise in sports without getting an extension on that contract. I don't watch sports all that much, but I understand the business of sports, at least to that degree, that it just doesn't make sense. And it's a rumor that's been debunked as false regardless, right? So on Tuesday, there were reports that maybe Tony Khan and MJF were having a meeting to hash things out in Vegas. That leads us to Wednesday, yesterday as the moment we're recording this. This leads us to Dynamite this Wednesday, where suddenly it appears on social media that, look, I know I'm supposed to be talking about Double or Nothing, but we might as well talk about the promo right now, right? Since we're I think this is how we cover the MJF thing. Wednesday, we get the graphic saying MJF is going to address, is going to address the fans. I don't remember, but that he's going to be on Dynamite. Not much fanfare, but he does get a graphic, and everyone's like, "Oh shit." And it's at this point where I'm like, this is a work. Now we're in a work. And I'm not going to break down the promo because I thought it was exhilarating. I thought this was compelling, fascinating, interesting television. And you know why? You know what brought it? You know why this is possible? This is possible to have this kind of TV when there is competition in wrestling, when there are multiple places for wrestlers to go and perform and hone their craft and become stars, then we're able to get brilliant moments like this. Shoot, work, I don't care. What MJF did on Dynamite this week was nothing short of brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I'm not going to break down the promo, but the thing is that he's shooting from the hip, I guess. That's the feeling we're getting. And there's a lot of things that he's saying that are true. And I'm not going to break down the entire promo. I've watched it multiple times. I'm sure some of you have as well. But there are some things that he did say in this promo that are true. For instance, no one is on his level and everything he touches turns to gold. That's one of the earliest things he says in the promo that is absolutely 100% true. Like there's no other way to put it. I was trying to find some kind of adjective to go around with it. That's all you need is truth at this point. This was the truth. Everything this guy puts his hands on becomes magic. He says, and then he starts calling out the fans. He says, we call ourselves fans, but actually, you fans are actually uneducated marks, sitting on our phones, tweeting out our opinions, but we don't know shit. And he's right. He says, we pretend he sucked in the ring for a long time, and why? Why did we as fans say that? Because he didn't pretend to watch New Japan or dump his opponents on their head, that he wasn't running down 5-star matches. And again, he's right. And I am on record telling yous alls that MJF is a fantastic wrestler. Been saying that for the better part of 18 months, if not 2 years at this point. Because his match that he had in 2020 at Revolution against Jungle Boy, one of my matches of the year. Absolutely fantastic. He's amazing. Let's keep on. What else? What other truths was he dropping here? He's a generational talent and we take him for granted. This is true. I don't think people appreciate just how good he is. I think a lot of people appreciate the character, but he is a total package. He says about Tony Khan that he hoards all the money so he can give it to all the new ex-WWE signings who can't lace his boots. Again, he's right. Some instances, maybe not. Some instances, he's absolutely right. We could create a list here. So he asks Tony to fire him. Fire me, Tony. Calls him a fucking mark. And his mic gets censored. And we go straight to commercial. There's no graphic. There's no Excalibur running down, the rest of the card. It's just like clunk, cut. Now his profile is off of the AEW roster page. His merch is gone from AEW, shopaew.com. So the question is, that everyone's been asking, is it a shoot? Is it a work? It's definitely a work now. It's definitely a work now. And it was probably a shoot at first. And this would not be the first time in wrestling history that something which was a shoot eventually became worked into a story. Absolutely would not be the first time. This is how Mr. McMahon was created. Let's not forget. Right? CM Punk, the pipe bomb. He didn't deliver that because he was a happy-go-lucky guy. I thought this was great. And I think it's a work now. Because trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. There is no way Tony Khan, anyone in that company, would have left MJF go wild for 7 to 8 minutes, a quarter hour, uninterrupted, to spew that shit. Absolutely not. And don't kid yourselves. Don't kid yourselves. There was nothing. If AEW wanted to save face and kick MJF out of there, they would have emptied the locker room. You would have had the boys. You don't think Eddie Kingston would have rushed that ring to toss MJF out if there was really an issue? Of course not. Would have done it in a second. Don't kid yourselves on this one. You don't have to think very far. We are at a work. Was it a shoot before? Probably. But here's the ultimate message that I want to give you guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it was a shoot or a work, or whether it's a shoot or a work now. It doesn't matter. Are you enjoying yourselves? Is this entertaining? You should be worked. You're a wrestling fan. You should be worked. Appreciate it. If we are being worked right now, which I highly believe we are, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying every second of it. Sucker me in. If this was a work on Saturday, good, well done. Because you got me. But there's nothing I hate more than people going to, oh, it's a work. Oh, it's a shoot. No, this is a work. It's a work. It's a work. It's a work. Like everyone has to line up and say, oh, no, I can't get suckered. I'm so fucking smart. There's no way that, some stupid ass wrestling show is going to make me look like a moron. It's a work. It's a work. It's a work. I fucking hate that. Let yourselves enjoy the fucking thing. And no, I'm convinced it wasn't a shoot, but it doesn't matter that it wasn't a work on Saturday and up to Sunday. I'm convinced. There's no point in trying to go out on Twitter or wherever message boards. Well, I knew it was work from the start. Who gives a fuck? What kind of weird wrestling cred does that give you? Whether you're getting worked or not. And these are the same people after that are going to complain that, oh, the dirt sheets ruin it for everyone. The dirt sheets aren't ruining anything. Not with that kind of attitude. Because if you're out there stomping your feet, crossing your arms and going, yeah, this is a work, you're ruining it. You're ruining it for yourself. You don't want to let yourself enjoy what's going on. And that's ultimately the important thing. When I was looking at this, When I saw MJF step out with the music, the whole night, the whole presentation, I'm like, there's no way this is a shoot anymore. It's gonna be a work shoot, whatever. But you know what? I didn't sit around moping about it. I didn't go on Twitter going, oh, well, we all got suckered, guys. Just let myself, and you know what? I was highly entertained. I enjoyed myself tremendously. And thinking about what happened this weekend, this is going to be one of these stories that we're going to be talking about for a long time, probably. That we're probably going to have, we'll probably get some kind of resolution in a book in 15, 20 years from now. Hopefully I can still read at that point, that the cataracts haven't taken over my eyes or that the stroke didn't hit. You know, the long-term story, right? That's the stroke, right? Jesus, sometimes, I tell you, it really doesn't matter. There's no way, I'm telling you, the cost of putting on 15 minutes of television programming, the cost of putting on 15 minutes of TV, of live TV, it doesn't make sense if you send someone out who's just going to trash you. And I'll tell you one thing, if MJF ran the gamut of everything, all these, you know, these petty weird Twitter accounts, right? All these petty weird Twitter accounts, they all, he ran the gamut of everything they say nasty about Tony Khan, except one thing. The one thing that if MJF had brought up, he would have absolutely gotten fired for. He did not, if MJF really wanted to get fired, he would have talked about cocaine. He would have talked about Tony Khan doing cocaine, but he didn't. And if he really wanted to get fired, that's what he would have done. Because then we would have gone to black screen. Then everything would have been cut. And we would have hit the bricks. And the next thing you know, like, he's officially released from his contract. And he wasn't. It was just great. It was just great TV. MJF, the last true worker in wrestling. You know it. He goes out, he acts the asshole to everyone. Even in meet and greets. People who pay to see him. He's an asshole to them. He's the last great worker of pro wrestling. And you're telling me this is not a work anymore? Or and you're telling me that there's a chance he might be gone? This is still a shoot? No. He might in 2024. That's still, 18 months from now. And God knows that the wrestling business moves fast. Just nonsense. Enjoy it. And I'm not worried yet, but this is all on AEW, right? The work shoot has a very disputed history in the world of professional wrestling. Whether we are talking about, Brian Pillman, the loose cannon in WCW, or whether we're talking about, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash suddenly showing up on WCW television, or the multiple instances of Vince Russo inspired work shoots from late WCW to TNA. There's a very precarious history that exists in pro wrestling in regards to work shoots, right? I think there is value to it so long as you don't make it a staple of your show. Because this is the one thing that we have to be careful of. This is the one thing that we have to look out for, is if suddenly, all of a sudden, everyone starts, turning to the camera and talking about their contract status week after week. Then that becomes tiresome. That becomes a problem, because then it's no longer about the product. It's no longer about the creative. Now it's about something that has no intrinsic value as someone who wants to tune in and just be entertained. if everyone is bitching about their contracts. The thing here with MJF, this whole situation worked because of MJF himself, because of how he's been portrayed since the beginning of his AEW run. The rumors of him being dissatisfied, the reports being dissatisfied, and I 100% believe that there's truth to that. Because if MJF is making a fraction of what Christian Cage is, I'm just throwing shit out here, as in former WWE guys. If he's making a fraction of what Christian Cage is making, or Matt Hardy, or Jeff Hardy, he has every right to jump on his high horse and say, Tony Khan, sit the fuck down. I want to renegotiate. Because that guy, we've been saying it for months. This guy is the backbone. And I've been saying this for months. He's not only one of the pillars, he's the foundation of this company. He is the future. If Tony Khan lets him go because he's dissatisfied, because it's just a question of money, it's a mistake. It's an absolute mistake. I don't care ultimately if he goes to WWE. I honestly don't. Because the guy, just like Sasha and Naomi, knows his worth. And he should go to get the money where he will get the money that he feels he is deserving of. Absolutely 100%. Lost my train of thought here. What was I talking about? MJF, cornerstone of the company. Look, he's so important. He's so crucial. He should be able to sit down. That's it. Like, okay, I now remember where I was going with this. If he is dissatisfied, he should be able to sit down, and Tony Khan should spit the bucks out. Should, as he said, open his wallet, dig deep in his pockets, and pay the man. I had a promoter tell me, an indie promoter tell me, one of the biggest mistakes an indie promoter can do is like treat the the big wrestlers, the guests that they bring in, treat them really well in the locker room and give them everything they want and so on and so forth, without giving that same type of treatment to that promotion's regulars, the people who are local, who always work the show and are always busting their asses. You bring in someone, let's say from Impact, and you treat them like a star, while your others are like, eh. It's the same type of situation here. You're bringing in the Bryan Danielsons, the CM Punks, the Christian Cages, the Jeff Hardys, and what about the MJFs, who have indeed been there from day one, and not only been there from day one, but have been a cornerstone of that company that has delivered everything that was requested of them and more, over-delivered. He knows his value. He absolutely knows his value. Because I was talking about work shoot programs and all that. It all worked because it's MJF. Right? It's like, Vince Russo deciding to do a work shoot with fucking Disco Inferno. Who gives a fuck? Like, Disco Inferno doesn't have that fan attachment, that gravitas that would make anything he does compelling in a work shoot environment. And JF is the complete opposite. Complete opposite. This is why this worked. Now, if Tony Khan suddenly starts going on a work shoot program and he's like, okay, who do we do next? This is terrible. It's like, oh, let's have Dante Martin do a work shoot where he's disgruntled. It's like, no, Dante Martin's not gonna work. So there is a danger. There is precedent, and I can get why a whole bunch of people are maybe not necessarily excited about the idea of a work shoot type situation here. So far, I think it's been done brilliantly. I think it was a work. Tony Khan and MJF found some kind of agreement. They decided to incorporate it into the show. Now it's a work. Trust me, there's all the signs are there. Don't double guess yourself. Don't listen to the idiots. This is absolutely a work at this point. And it doesn't matter if it was at first or not. This is just what I think. Because it honestly doesn't matter. But I think it was. But at this point, we're continuing with it. It's on TV. It's a work. Now enjoy it. As long as it doesn't become a thing, we'll be good. We're talking about Double or Nothing. This was just the first match. Let's go through the rest. The Hardy Boys defeated the Young Bucks. I thought this was a mess that was held together by the Bucks. This was kind of what I was expecting. You can go back and listen to my prediction show with Jeff Hawkins. This is exactly what I thought would happen. I mean, there's really two parts to this match. There's the messy shit and the stuff that the Bucks were really in control on. And when the Bucks were in control, this match was just clicking. Everything was working. But Jeff just seemed out of it. And he seemed out of it from the moment he came out. And I'm not going to sit here and speculate because his history is way too complex for me to sit here and be like, oh, well, he's this or that, There's too many variables when it comes to Jeff Hardy. So I'm not going down that road. I'm surprised that the Hardys I'm surprised that the Hardys won. I really thought that the Young Bucks were going to win here. That's what made kind of more sense to me. Jeff Hawkins had argued that he wouldn't put it past the Bucks to do the job, and ultimately he was right. I like the conclusion. I like the ending. You get the super kick party and the Hardys ask for more. And then there's like this machine gun sequence of kicks and the Hardys ask for more again. I like that. The swanton on the stairs is like, Jesus. I don't know if Jeff is a really good seller. And if he's in one of these positions where he's like, he knows everyone is looking at every little thing he does. And he's like, well, I'm going to just, pour it on some more. Like, these guys are workers, right? But two twists of fate later, Nick Jackson eats the pin. Look, a couple of weeks ago, I said, I'm sorry I'm going to be that guy, but I'm not excited about the Hardys. I'm not excited about Jeff Hardy continuing to wrestle in these types of environments where he's doing the stunt show. And this match did nothing to change my opinion. But the Bucks held this one. The Jacksons held this one together as best they could. AEW TBS title match. Jade Cargill successfully defended her title against Anna Jay. This was a fine match. Like what you expect. And here's the thing. We always end up talking about Jade's work rate, right? This is always what it always boils down to. Because I hear everything from she's not very good to she stinks to, And Jade still has a long way to go, right? But as we've mentioned here on the show, wrestlers don't need to be work rate machines to get over in wrestling. We know this. There are multiple situations that prove this, and Jade falls into that category. But Jade is also someone who clearly wants to improve. And she's been talking about it in interviews and so on and so forth. And we do see her pulling out some stuff that she previously had not been doing in her matches. Where I'm like, okay, this is new. And I like that. That's something that I can zero in on. We don't speak that name here, Justin. Only at the top of the show to say nice things. We we zero in on, you can zero in on some interesting stuff that she does. But of course, she's not going to start stringing offense together like she's fucking Zack Sabre Jr. You know what I mean? What she does is fine. And she has good chemistry with Anna Jay. Anna tries to land some crossbodies, gets countered by a sack of shit. Nice snap suplex and a double sledge by Jade, which I really see. The double sledge I feel was new. Don't remember seeing that. Anna hits a superplex from the top rope, and there's, an unfortunate whiffed sunset bomb, but, the baddies come in, Anna Jay fights them off. Mark Sterling comes in. Suddenly he's back in the neck brace. He has the crutch again. John Silver comes out to a big reaction, comes out to brainbuster Mark on the floor. Anna Jay eats an Eye of the Storm, rolls out of the Jaded into the Queen Slayer, which was really dope, but Jade powers out with a Jaded for the win. Then, here we come. Stokely Hathaway shows up to one of my biggest pops of the evening. And he has glasses now. I think he thinks it makes him look smart. I think, but all joking aside, this was a pairing that people had been talking about for a year. Like, it's been a while that people are like, oh, if only Stoke could be Jade's mouthpiece. And look at what we got. Look at what we got here. He's there. So clearly Mark Sterling was out of a job the minute he ate the brain buster. So he's in the ring. And then Chris Statlander comes out. And everyone was like, to me, this was clear. And it's still clear to me that Chris Statlander is being positioned, maybe not as the next, but as Jade's big challenger and the one who just might take the TBS title off of her. You saw her fantastic performance last Friday on Rampage, where she outshone Ruby Soho to the point that the audience turned on Ruby Soho. This new attitude that Statlander has works. She comes into the ring and she's all piss and vinegar. And then music hits. Athena, former Ember Moon, pops out to a huge reaction. She is an AEW. We are going to talk about her later when we talk about Dynamite, but she shows up. I'll get this out of the way. I think it's an interesting. No, you know what? I'm going to save it for later because it all sort of not just yet. But it's an interesting pickup. I know a lot of people were very excited for it. A lot of people were looking forward to it. I'm on the fence for a bunch of reasons, and I would say most of them don't have anything to do with Athena herself. Because I like Athena. Twan Mac, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. The House of Black defeated Death Triangle in a match that everyone was expecting to be a blast, and it ended up being a blast. This was very, very good. I really liked the opening sequences to this match, especially where Brody King kills everyone. I thought that was very good. Great triple team combo by Death Triangle as well. There's a dive by Pac at some point, followed by a moonsault by Malachi Black, Tope Con Hilo by Penta, and then Brody King revs up to do a Tope Con Hilo, and it ends up being a Tope Con apron. He sort of doesn't quite get the distance, which I felt bad for. Him. Penta hits a Canadian Destroyer off of Phoenix's back on the apron. Malachi Black masses the hell out of everyone. And Pac hits a 450 on Malachi Black. The lights go out. Is it Sabu? No, it is Julia Hart, who is in the ring, and she missed Pac right in the face. The House of Black get the win. I thought this was a very entertaining match. I'm very glad that they paid off the Julia Hart stuff. Very, 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 very happy they paid it off. And that my greatest fear was that they would go back to start, right? And she'd be like, oh, my friends from the Hollywood Blands, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I'm better now. Loved it that they were capable of doing it. And now, of course, we're opening up the floodgates to Alexa Bliss comparisons, because for some reason, when a good girl goes goth, has a heel turn in pro wrestling, for some reason, pigtails become the thing, right? It's pigtails. I don't know why. But you go, goth girl gets pigtails. Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament final match. Adam Cole defeated Samoa Joe in a very okay match. This was fine, but it flew under my expectations. I even think Samoa Joe wasn't as brutal as he could have been. Cole works the arm in this match, and he gets an enziguri. There's a uranagi by Joe, and a senton power slam. Eventually, Bobby Fish interferes. Samoa Joe puts him in a sleeper. Cole kicks Samoa Joe in the face, hits the boom. He wins. He wins the tournament. He's the finalist. I don't know. This one underdelivered for me. I really thought Joe was going to be a lot more violent than this. Then we move on to the Owen Hart Foundation women's tournament final match, where Dr. Britt Baker defeated Ruby Soho. And this was I thought this was more fun right up until the end. I liked the opening. I liked the opener where Ruby was maintaining wrist control throughout, hitting her moves. I liked that. She hits a huge shotgun drop kick off the apron as well, and a suplex on the floor. Then Britt Baker starts picking her apart, stretches her around the post. There's a superplex by Ruby Soho. Strike sequences. Saito suplex. Goes up top, senton bomb. Baker hits the curb stomp. Ruby avoids the lockjaw, hits the no future, goes for a sharpshooter. And this is where it gets a little messy, because the sharpshooter ain't that great. And then she and Britt roll in and out of pins until Britt gets the 3 count. And I was like, really? And I was like, all right. So much for all this long-term storytelling that everyone was talking to me about when I was very disgruntled that Toni Storm did not win the semifinals. Oh, but the story is Ruby and Britt. Okay. I'm going to talk about the women a little later. Not just yet. Because what I do want to talk about is Dr. Martha Hart, who comes out to present the cup and the very pretty belts to the winners of the Owen tournament, and give a speech in honor of Owen. It was, I think, a very respectful conclusion to the tournament, one that the fans went above and beyond for the reception for the end. Chanting Owen's name, chanting a thank you Martha chant, right? And her speech was wonderful, just very, passionate, but without going overboard. I think it was, this is a woman who understands public speaking. She knows how this works. She understands wrestling fans on top of that. And she ends her speech saying that we can once again celebrate him in the squared circle. And I could not have been happier for her. She is, she stuck to her guns throughout all these years. Never forget that. She was like, I am not, look, let's put this into perspective. Like, I don't want to go down the whole thing, right? But I'm so impressed by this woman. Because she did, look, she stuck to her guns. She was like, no, this company that set up this stunt, half-assedly set it up, killed my husband. He didn't die doing what he loved. He died doing a stupid-ass stunt. That, and I read this, recently in an article, a stunt that, and it made me realize, and you're absolutely right, if this stunt, had it been successful, no one would have remembered it. No one would be like, hey, remember that really cool time when the blue blazer came down from... No. It's just pointless. And despite her, on her terms, deciding to pair up with AEW to celebrate her husband's legacy, the legacy of the father of her children, despite her doing that, you still had those fucking weirdos going after her. All these years, people going after her saying, Martha Hart, put Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame. You stupid so-and-so. Put Owen in the Hall of Fame. What are you doing? You're keeping the fans from celebrating his legacy. She was always like, I'm not gonna do it with Vince, with WWE. The people who effectively killed my husband because of their negligence. And then years and years with her holding out for all reasons that we have to respect, because she is the widow. And it's on her. It is her decision. AEW comes along, she's like, you know what? Let's try something here. And she uses it as a way to grow awareness for her foundation, and for finally fans to have an opportunity to celebrate the history, the legacy, the life of Owen Hart. And yet, she still gets shit on by the WWE weirdos who can't manage to be happy, because it's not a question for these people of celebrating the life of Owen. It's celebrating WWE. You know, these weirdos who will latch to a company as opposed to the talent, to the people. It was for most of these people, it was never about celebrating Owen. It was about WWE celebrating Owen. Despite this being exactly what the widow wanted. This right here. And smiling and being happy and getting thank you Martha chants. Tell me that isn't proof that she did the right thing. Where she has an arena full of people chanting thank you to her for doing this. I thought it was perfect. Wasn't too long, wasn't too short. Hit all the right feels. Did the right people win? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Britt should have won. From my understanding, Martha Hart had some say in the booking of the tournament, right? So I can see her going, you know what? My husband celebration of life, love, happiness, so on and so forth. Let's get a couple. I don't know how much input she had, but I can dig it. I can understand it from that point of view. From a wrestling fan point of view, though, with these decisions now that we're established, not sure this is the best thing. The Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, along with Paige Van Zandt, making her wrestling debut, defeated Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Tay Conti. Look, this was a well-worked match. It was fine. Lots of stuff I really wasn't into. I bought into the match, and it's very obvious stories, like, Kaz having some heat with his teammates. Like, it was just a lot of fluff. I also believe that the TNT title is legitimately hurt. I legitimately think that it's broken, not actually, because it's a beautiful belt right now. Love the Laker colors on Scorpio's belt. But I think the prestige of the TNT title is wrecked. And we're going to need some rehabilitation. I thought the match was okay. It was fine. But as far as Paige Van Zandt's first outing, super smart. Put her in a triple threat. She doesn't have to work the whole thing. She hits her spots. She hit them nicely. She hit them very, very nicely. I thought she looked good for what she was called in to do. Now, JR out the gate says, she's new, she's green. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Way to go, JR. What is he doing telling us, essentially, we are putting people on television who are not ready to be on TV? Because that's what green means. He sure as hell wasn't saying that for Jade. Why is he pulling this out for... I can understand. Let's manage the expectations from the audience, right? I can understand that. But you don't flat out tell the audience, well, she's not ready for TV, guys. Because that's what it means. Look, and a big brushstroke, JR bugged the fuck out of me throughout this entire show. I thought he was off the mark. I thought his commentary was dumb. I don't think he brought anything. And he was grumpy throughout everything. You know what he was happy about? The Wardlow. You know what gets him excited? Pretty girls. We know what gets JR in a happy mood. Honestly, I do not know what he brings to the table. I do not understand what he brings to the table anymore. He doesn't even do any of the heavy lifting. Anyway, the match will all be relegated to history. No one is going to remember this match. Let's just move on. Now, Kyle O'Reilly defeating Darby Allin. This match here added on last minute. And yet I know everyone was kind of like, what the fuck? That's how the French say that. They actually say it a little like this. What the fuck? That's how they say it. It was a fake. Trust me. Added last minute. They try to make a story out of it, with the injury and whatnot, and Sting. And I was like, man, this show already has so many matches on it. And, so many matches have, half builds and whatnot. And I'm like, do we really need this? Turns out this was a great match. I thought this was really good. Darby gets cracked on the mouth early on with a huge knee by Kyle O'Reilly. Darby does a scorpion death drop. Darby wipes out on one suicide dive, just like completely crash and burns. They do it again because Kyle O'Reilly was supposed to catch him in a choke body scissors position on the floor. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's why they're doing it again. But yeah, completely wiped out that first one. Kyle O'Reilly kicks out of the Last Supper, hits a brain buster. There's a coffin drop on the apron. Back in the ring, coffin drop again, but into an armbar by Kyle O'Reilly. Then there's some strikes. And then Kyle grabs his chain, the chain that Darby Allin has, and he puts it in his mouth and he starts tugging on it. And the fucking thing snaps. It's bleeding. Gets some kicks in, diving knee. Surprisingly good match. Well, surprisingly in the sense that you had no expectations to this match, right? Whereas it's just like, why are we doing this? But it worked. It clicked. I enjoyed this a lot more than some of the matches that did actually have builds, such as the triple threat match. Not the triple threat, the mixed tag team. Excuse me. AEW World Women's Title Match. Women's World Title Match. I'll get that right one day. Champion Thunder Rosa successfully defended her title against Serena Deeb. I thought this was a solid pro wrestling match. Delivered exactly what I thought it would. Great lockups and transitions from move to move to open this one up from the start. Rosa does the pendulum hold that she does and the Dustin Rhodes punch. And Deeb just stretches the hell out of Rosa throughout this match. Side Russian leg sweep into a crossface and then a stretch muffler. Then a double stomp and a DVD by Rosa, who then gets chop blocked by Deeb and into a figure four. They're slapping the hell out of each other. And then I kind of feel like the ending fell apart a little bit. And I feel it never reached the height. And I don't know exactly what happened because I felt we were getting there, especially after the figure four spot. But we get a detox from Deeb. Rosa's foot is on the rope, so she doesn't take the fall, the full 3 pin. Serenity Log, power bomb. Thunder Rosa hits a top rope superplex, rolls through, Fire Thunder Driver. We're good. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a very strong pro wrestling match. Now, I saw that a certain David Meltzer, who runs a little outfit there in Pro Wrestling Land, he gave this match 4 3/4 stars, which would put it on par with Bayley and Sasha Banks, Brooklyn, too. And I'm like, no, sir. As much as I enjoyed this match, let's not get carried away here. This was very good, very strong. Like if I were to use the rating system, I'd easily give it a 4. And the only reason that it didn't hit higher is because I feel emotionally we weren't there. There's something that happened towards the end of this match which didn't rise, but I thought this was great and a good second solid defense for Thunder Rosa, who we love here at the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And we hope that you're doing well, Rosa. We really do. Anarchy in the arena. The Jericho Appreciation Society, made up of Angelo Parker, Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, Jake Hager, and Matt Menard, defeated the Blackpool Combat Club of Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, accompanied by Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. When Justin Roberts said the shit was going to hit the fan, he was completely underselling the match. That was the greatest undersell of all time. Mox comes out and the brawl starts as his music is still going and it's on loop. And I'm like, this fucking rules. Keep the music on the entire match. This ruled. And it's fucking Chris Jericho in the greatest heel move of all time, who kills the sound. He breaks some equipment to turn the music off. And look, on the pre-show, I was saying, look, they're calling this Anarchy. There's going to be 10 dudes here. What I'm hoping from this match is that they dive back to old ECW 96, 97 tapes where you have tag team matches and the teams split off within the arena, within ECW arena, and then the camera shots are just slicing back and forth between the teams. There's stuff happening, but you're not seeing it because there's And I'm like, that's the kind of chaos I think would make this match work. And Jesus Christ, they did it. And they did it so well. There was so much stuff going on everywhere. The production, the television production of this match made this match so much better. Jericho, I talked about it. Big Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, he's bleeding. Like Crimson Mask bleeding. Santana and Ortiz hit a street sweeper through a table. Kingston and Menard are fighting in concessions and they're covered in fucking mustard. Parker smashes Bryan Danielson with the ring bell. Daniel Garcia hits a jumping pile driver off the apron ring onto the steps. Mox throws a cooler at Chris Jericho. Jericho puts Mox in the walls of Jericho on the timekeeper's table, but the table gives away. It just collapses. Danielson throws Eddie into Daniel Garcia throws Eddie Kingston into a wall. Jon Moxley puts Chris Jericho in a figure 4 leg lock on the floor. Santana and Ortiz, they climb up a ladder. Stereo splashes through tables. Eddie Kingston in one of the most memorable visuals of pro wrestling ever. Eddie Kingston comes to the ring with a can of gasoline. And he dumps it on Jericho. He says, I'm going to kill you, Jericho. I'm going to burn you. Danielson then, he pulls Kingston aside because Kingston's got the lighter. Danielson's like, he pulls him off and he starts punching. But Jericho tosses him off, takes Eddie out with the Judas effect. Hager blasts Moxley off the apron through a barbed wire table. Danielson kicks Hager. Busakuni connects, but Jericho, he has a chair. Busakuni threw the chair, covers Jericho. Jericho kicks out. Yes kicks to Jericho. Big kick to the face. Lays him out. Danielson grabs him by the wrist. But Hager comes with the bat. And I forgot to mention, they took off the top rope. They unscrewed it. Like the top rope, the turnbuckles, they're using it. It's all loose in the ring. Jericho applies the walls of Jericho on Danielson. Jake Hager starts choking Danielson with the rope. Referee calls it. Jericho Appreciation Society wins. Ladies, gentlemen, everyone else, this is a match of the year. This is absolutely a match that you should go out of your way to see. This is one of the greatest brawls in North American wrestling history. It's easily the best that we've had. When's the last time we've had such a good, intense, chaotic, violent brawl that didn't feel like a mess, that everything felt like it had a place, that had a great structure, that everyone played their parts perfectly in? When is the last time we had, and we're not talking stadium stampede, we're not that kind of stuff. When is the last time this happened? I honestly can't recall. But this here, match of the night, match of the year candidate right here. It's been a fucking while since we've had something so beautifully violent. Out of my chair, popping around. Loved it. Right up my alley. AEW World Tag Team titles were on the line as well. Champions Dino 210 defeated Swerve in Our Glory, the team of Keith Lee and Shane Swerve Strickland. And Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. I really liked this match. I thought I would. I think the wrong team won. But I enjoyed the match. It was fine. Series of dives by Jungle Boy. But at some point, Keith Lee catches him on the last one and power bombs him onto Luchasaurus. Ricky Starks does a beautiful tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Lee and Swerve do the moonsault off the chest thing, which should be a thing forever and ever and ever. Keith Lee does a dope Topic and Hilo. God damn. Like, there were like 3 guys out there, but how do you catch Keith Lee? You know what I mean? Ricky Starks hits a spear in the Rochambeau on Jungle Boy, but Luchasaurus breaks it up. Then we get a Swerve stomp. We get Lee and Swerve who do their double team assistant top rope stomp as well. The FTW title gets involved, and Christian Cage knocks out Ricky Starks with it. Dino 2-0 get the win. And at the end, Christian Cage has Jungle Boy on his shoulders, and Luchasaurus is like, wait, that's my thing. I should be doing that, kind of thing. Clearly, they want to give some more juice to this split here between... Like, clearly the line is being traced here where Christian is basically fighting for the affections of Jungle Boy. That's essentially it. He says he's mine, right? He's my protege. He's my my ward. He is the Robin to my Batman, kind of thing. So this is what's going to cause the rift, right? So we can see how this goes, but I think we already see where we're heading. So yeah, it was fine. It was fine, but the title, the tag titles feel so secondary right now. They don't feel important. They're lost in the shuffle. We're getting... this is the second pay-per-view in a row where we get a triple threat for the tag titles. I'm like, okay. This was supposed to be the place where tag team wrestling lived, right? Where this would, tag team wrestling could main event pay-per-views and so on and so forth. Well, what's going on? It's not as if we don't have the tag teams. We've got FTR. We've got Santana and Ortiz. We have the Bucks. We have Dino 2-0. What's going on? I don't know. Sorry. And then finally, the AEW World Title match. CM Punk defeated champion Adam Page to become the new AEW World Champion. And I like this from the get-go. Both guys are intense. They're angry. They're playing a little dirty to begin with, with the forearm scrapes and stuff. I like that. Punk gets some offense in early on. Adam Page hits a sack of shit and a pescado. First buckshot lariat attempt by Page, but Punk shoves him off the apron. There's a superplex by Punk, which I really liked because it felt desperate. It felt like I have to uncork this right now. So Punk was really like climbing up quickly and sort of like grabbing Page, and it didn't feel like, okay, I'm doing this. And you ready? 1, 2, 3. It really felt like I got to do this move now. Whomp. Thought it was a nice little tidbit there. GTS by Page is countered by CM Punk, but CM Punk hits an Orihara moonsault. A lot of this is about, the dude using the other dude's moves. Page tries to do the buckshot lariat, but crumbles, and Punk lies in a sharpshooter. And then Punk fucks up a buckshot lariat attempt, and then fucks up the other one as well. Oh, Lord. Adam Page hits the Deadeye and the GTS. We're back on the floor. Adam Page tosses Punk over the Timekeeper's table. And that knocks the world title over, which the referee brings the belt into the ring. He brings the belt in the ring. And I'm like, this is a very unusual referee thing to do. Like, why is it? And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna play into it, right? And I'm not excited for it. There's a ref bump, a lariat by Page, and Page picks up the belt and he struggles. It's like, should I use it or not? And this is the second time that Page does this kind of stuff. And I'm like, am I violent? Kind of like the Johnny Gargano Ciampa stuff, right? Where Johnny Gargano was like, am I really this violent? You know, when Ciampa would be like begging off, it's like, no, you're my pal, DIY, remember? You know, all that. And Johnny was like, no, I can't do it. But then Ciampa would fuck him over, right? It's the same kind of situation here, and I'm not sure I'm into it. Because if anything, Adam Page up until this point throughout this feud was like, no, I'm mad as hell. I hate you, CM Punk. You know? Why would he hold back here? Am I too violent? You're a pro wrestler. Oh, but Warren, he is a baby face. He's not supposed to do the belt shots, and it is a proof that he wanted to win in a good way. Like, all right, sure, but like, don't give me morality choices in the middle of a wrestling match where it's like, look, do it or not. You know, it's like, not this like this great introspection. It's like, he's holding the belt and he's like, will I let it consume me? You know, I'm not playing Mass Effect. You know what I mean? Just hit him or not. But yeah, he goes for the buckshot. It's countered into the GTS. Punk wins. It's fine. CM Punk is the champ. Now, let's do a little quick recap. Adam Page's title reign. 197 days that he was champion, which makes him the second shortest reign in AEW World Title history. Number one being Chris Jericho. He won the title last November against Kenny Omega, finally overcoming his friend / nemesis in a very, very long-term story that culminated perfectly. He's had 6 successful defenses, including 2 times against Brian Danielson, Daniel Zambronson, and Adam Cole, arguably 2 top guys in the company. I really enjoyed his run, and I know it's very controversial because it's like, oh, we don't see him enough, he doesn't talk enough, he doesn't wrestle enough, and it's like, well, I don't know, he's the champ, right? It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't know. And I don't pattern my love of wrestling over 20 years of WWE doing one thing the one same way. I like different. I like trying stuff out. Was it overshadowed? Was his title reign overshadowed? In some circumstances, absolutely. Doesn't take away that I really enjoyed the title run, but I think it's objective. It's objectively right to say that his world title run was overshadowed by MJF CM Punk, for instance, right? And and on that note, I hope that the people who are complaining that CM Punk is the champion are not the same people who are complaining that the world title was being overshadowed by CM Punk. If you are going to put the title on CM Punk, the guy who's overshadowing everyone, that is to make the title be the top thing in the company. Don't go and bullshit it on the other side. Because this is exactly what happened here. Honestly, I would have kept the title on Page. I would have done this I would have we don't know what's going on backstage, so on and so forth, but I still would have had MJF take the title off of Page. Now, maybe we're just going to have MJF take the title off of CM Punk, and that's some good old-fashioned long-term storytelling there as well. I'm not disappointed. It doesn't, I'm not mad that CM Punk is the champion. If the company perceives him as the top guy, and he's the guy creating the business, and he's pumping out all the merch, and he's getting all the ratings, and he's, his quarter hours are super high, put the strap on him. Put the strap on him to shut up everyone who's saying, well, the second fiddle to CM Punk is the AEW title. Well, there you go. Now you can't bitch about it anymore. That was my Double or Nothing review, which I enjoyed. But not as much as I enjoyed it, but not as much as previous offerings from AEW. I think this was a little step down. AEW Dynamite? Yeah, hell yeah, we're going long. What are you talking about? CM Punk and FTR kicked this one off, defeating Max Caster and the Gun Club. Clearly, CM Punk and FTR are buds. They're best buds now. United by their love of Bret Hart. Look, I know a lot of people are really into the Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, Ass Boys stuff. I am not. Thank God this is a prelim thing, because I can't stand it. It's too much. I don't like it. After the match, Punk I'm not gonna get mad at it. It's a lower card act. It doesn't, ultimately, it doesn't matter. After the match, CM Punk and Dax cut some promos. Dax talks about, Dax Harwood talks about the Ring of Honor titles, and he calls out Finlay. He says, "Come get your ass kicked, Finlay." I'm like, Finlay? Fit Finlay? What is he, I don't know what he's talking about. Did anyone, I can't be the only one who doesn't know didn't understand what he was talking about. Finlay. Last week he was Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan. Finlay? Anyways, Punk starts putting over the Forbidden Door show, and he says, "All right, Forbidden Door, open up, show me who I've got." And the person who walks out onto the stage is Hiroshi Tanahashi, who comes out to a big reaction, despite the fact I thought New Japan was a niche audience. I don't know. Big reaction to the Ace of the Universe coming out to challenge CM Punk for the title for the Forbidden Door show. So I have some thoughts. Tana hasn't been properly in the title picture since 2019 in New Japan. He had a match against Shingo last year, for the world title. And yes, he's had the never openweight title. He's been US champion. That's fine. But, he doesn't have the main event sheen in New Japan as much as he once had. Now, they don't call him the Ace for nothing. He's still a top guy. He's, there's no, there's nothing that can be said about this guy's legacy that I could sit here and poo-poo on. He's Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's fine. But this I find takes away a little bit of the mystique of the main event here, right? Or this match for the AEW World Title, where I'm like, CM Punk, Tanahashi, maybe, sure, dream match kind of thing, I guess, but there's no way Tana is winning, right? There's no way this is happening. There would have been other combinations, I believe, that would have created a lot more speculation, maybe a lot more interest. So now I'm like, CM Punk and Tanahashi. Well, okay, I see how this is gonna go, kind of thing. I'm a little less excited. Not gonna lie. But then again, I understand why they do it, right? despite not being involved in the title picture all that much, he's a top guy. He's a top guy in the company. And, they're going to have to have some New Japan guys hanging over in America over the next couple of weeks to help promote this show, right? They have a show on the 12th. A big show on top of that. Tanahashi, I don't think Tanahashi is booked for it. I don't know why. Like, it's a bit of a weird pick. But, like, the minute CM Punk won the world title, I was like, I don't think they're doing Okada and him. Which is a shame, because I had, my expectation, what I was gunning for, what I was sending out into the universe was Okada loses the belt at Dominion. CM Punk loses against Page, so we have both of these guys fresh. That's your main match. That's your main value draw match. That's the one where people will buy pay-per-views for. That's it right there. CM Punk, Kazuchika Okada. Keep the titles out of it so that the bookers can sit down and have a proper talk, as opposed to just being a thing where my guy's the champion, he's not losing kind of thing, right? So it takes a little bit of the intrigue of the politics, because then it was like, oh, well, maybe they'll still do Okada and CM Punk, and the titles will be involved. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to get spicy. Now we're going to get some good old-fashioned, wrestling backstage politicking, which I'm like, give me, spread that out on toast. A couple of layers of it. But no, we're getting Punk, which is fine. We're getting with Tanahashi, which is fine. But then that opens up the door for Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson, which I think that's the one. Look, I saw, like, there's allegedly something going around. Meltzer had talked about it, that it's Okada Page, right? Which, good for Adam Page. I think it's good. But I think we need to go dream match on this. I think we need to go dream match with Okada. And as much as I love Adam Page, Okada Page is not a dream match for me. I'm pretty sure if I go back into my brain deep enough, I'll probably remember Okada and Page fighting each other at some point, if only like during a G1, right? Convinced, 100% convinced. But, I think, I've been seeing people saying, oh, well, the lineup that's being reported on is fake. It's been proven to be fake. So I don't know. Like, I'm just throwing this out there. So I think you need to go Danielson Okada, right? Unless Danielson, puts his foot down. He's like, no, you know what? I want to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr., which would be bananas good. But I think that's what you do. Danielson Okada, or you don't give us Danielson Okada because you're like, yeah, we're not going to give you Danielson Okada because we're going to send him over for the G1 this year. Put him in Okada's block. He doesn't have to win if he's in Okada's block. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all I want. So I don't know. I'm like, I still sincerely feel that the money match, the big name match, the one that would have pushed this pay-per-view over 200,000 buys, would have been Kazuchika Okada versus CM Punk. I still think that was the big money match. Is this a case of we sold out the arena, we don't, we can do whatever we want at this point? Maybe. I'm excited to see how the rest of the card develops. But yeah, it's like Okada Page, there's history. It could be fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it lacks that oomph. And I think we should go we have to go dream match with Okada. Have to. Then we get the MJF promo. I've been over that. Don't have to rehash it. Miro makes his return, defeating Johnny Morrison. Great to see Miro back. in full force, full strength, catches a body press into a spinning power slam. Big power offense by our boy Miro. And Morrison hits a standing shooting star press, out of which Miro kicks out at one. Machka kick connects. Game over. We're good. Miro's back, folks. Miro is back. Miro is back. Miro is back. That's all we need. Jericho Appreciation Society come out. Sans Daniel Garcia. Angelo Parker has the microphone and he asks the AEW Galaxy to appreciate us. And I was like, oh, bravo. Bravo. That was outstanding stuff. Outstanding stuff. Jericho was offended by the lengths the other guys went to get the win, despite the fact that his team won, but he was very, very offended. Eddie Kingston and William Regal come out. Kingston is ready to fight. He's on the mic, says, I'll fight y'all right now. He doesn't care, but he gives the mic to William Regal, who says 3 simple words, blood and guts. William Regal said the War Games thing without actually saying War Games, because War Games is a trademark owned by World Wrestling Entertainment. So he used the knockoff name, which is Blood and Guts. But we all know it. It was the thing. He said the thing. He said it. Ha ha ha. Ortiz sneaks up behind Jericho, wallops him with the mad ball, and he cuts a lock of Chris Jericho's hair, which was extremely random. So this leads us into, look, we're getting a Blood and Guts match, but we're also getting a Santana versus an Ortiz versus Chris Jericho match, hair versus hair. Neat. I'm into it. Last Sunday, Samoa Joe got attacked by Lethal Dutt and Satnam Singh. Who? Satnam Singh. Who? Okay. I'm bored by this. Couldn't give a shit. Don't care. Because this is all it's been. No story bumps, nothing. Could not care less. Wasn't Samoa Joe, didn't he have like Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty? Didn't they have like a little trio at the end of Supercard of Honor? Where are these guys? Because it's some, Joe's no moron. He's not a stupid baby face. He shouldn't be sitting around letting himself get jumped like that. But the whole thing is dull as dirt right now. Can't stand it. 10-man tag match, Hikuleo and the Undisputed Elite, made up of Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, defeated Christian Cage, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Matt Hardy. I don't know why people get so mad with the AEW multi-man matches. These are fun. Fun PWG style multi-man matches. I don't get it. I don't get it why. I don't know. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage have some good double team before it all breaks down. Oh, look, a lot of fun here. I'm going to just skip over the details. We get a high-low by Red Dragon and a Meltzer driver by the Young Bucks for the win. And post-match, Christian and Matt Hardy help Jungle Boy up. And especially Christian, who then sort of wraps his arms around Jungle Boy and, this is mine! I liked it. I thought the match was fun. Keith Lee and Shane Strickland have a segment that didn't mean much for a guy like me. There was an entourage of people that Swerve introduced. The director of Black Panther and a musician and a fashion designer. Look, on one hand, I didn't know who these people were. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, because, I'm sure there's some people who saw that and were like, holy shit. And I think that's what's important here, because I've told you guys before, I think Swerve is the face of the company. This is a guy that AEW can throw their weight behind. Give him a reality show or any type of television show. Put him out there on TV. Put him on runways. He looks like $1 million. He looks like a star. He acts like a star. And clearly he's starting to have these connections on top of it. Like, and if they're putting it on AEW, it's to, to sort of jingle jangle the keys in front of us and go, hey, look over here. Oh, ooh. So it's continuing to establish the fact that Swerve is a mega star in the making. Even despite the fact that I'm not quite sure who these people are. I'm just not hip enough. What are you going to do about it? Tony Schiavone interviews Athena and welcomes her to AEW. She says she can finally say she's all elite, and it's not a surprise why she's here. She says the competition is top tier. She specifically mentions Jade Cargill. She wants to have a real talk moment. Keeping it hundy, she says. Because all streaks are made to be broken. Now, I've seen a lot of controversy regarding her promo. A lot of people did not like it. Athena was never known for her mic skills. Let's keep it hundy. Is that how you're supposed to? She's never been known for her mic skills. And they didn't change here. Like, it's not suddenly she's an all-elite talker. And I'm told, like, people told me, this is not a good promo because, the hundy, the real talk thing. And look, I don't know the vernacular, how you're supposed to apply it specifically in this circumstance. So I'm going to defer to people who are more in tune with, this type of young hip speak that I am completely disconnected from. So if I'm listening to this and I'm like, this feels a little cringe, and then people tell me, you know what, Warren, this was a lot cringe. I'm like, all right, I'll defer. But I mean, it's an Athena promo. They're typically not great. Anyway, Jade Cargill comes out with Stoke and the baddies. Hathaway takes the microphone after Jade, and he says it's his job as her publicist, as Jade's publicist, to let everyone know that she's a queen, a goddess, our TBS champion, and Athena's little title shot is not going to be today. Kiera Hogan gets in Athena's face. Then Anna Jay and Chris Statlander come out. Everyone is jaw-jacking. Stoke calls for security. Everyone comes out. So this was Athena's Dynamite debut, but it was also Stokely's Dynamite debut. A little lost in the shuffle here. I feel they tried to accomplish a lot of things. I don't know if they did it super successfully, but they tried. They tried to do a lot of things here. Absolutely tried to do a lot of things. I want more Hathaway. I want more Stokely on my TV. And I want him to have a proper long-form promo where he can just tear it up. And this pairing with Jade is gold. It is absolute gold. Top tier, lock and key, 24 karat gold. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know how do you measure gold? Carats, right? Just awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Like, they've set up some stories here. Like, if they want to do some triple threats with Jade and the baddies, Statlander, Athena, and Anna Jay, they want to continue this, that's cool. I am not going to shit on them trying to create moments for the women on their programming. They're so few and far between. I think it's good. I think it's a good way to advance it. And I still think Chris Statlander is next. And she's going to take the belt off of Jade. I think that's what we're going for. Wardlow defeated JD Drake. It's a squash. It's fine. Power bombs. It's fine. Comes off the big pay-per-view win reminds everyone that he's a monster. Let's see, let's just see what the future brings. Like I've mentioned, this is the test. This is the big test for Tony Khan and booking this part of the MJF story. Not the MJF, the Wardlow story. What do they do with Wardlow now that he's got the MJF saga out of the way? What's the next part? What are we doing here? Oh, and Mark Sterling came out. He says he's suing Wardlow on behalf of the dweebs. It's a little sports entertaining for me. But Mark Sterling is so precious. I am so happy that managers are back in AEW. Stokely Hathaway and Mark Sterling, two pristine managerial types. I love it. Managers are back, baby. Scorpio Sky's fighting Dante Martin on Friday. We learned in the pre-tape. Ruby Soho and Tony Storm defeated Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Match was all right. It was a lot of fun, actually. I thought everyone worked their part here. I think Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter are a cut above the rest in the women's division as far as the work goes. Now, the match comes to an end when Jamie Hayter, when Ruby Soho hits the destination unknown. But I like this match. I thought it was fun. After the match, Jamie Hayter clocks Ruby Soho and Tony Storm with the Owen belt, which Britt Baker was carrying. Right now, here's the problem. This is what I held off on. Talking about the Thunder Rosa match earlier at Serena Deeb Thunder Rosa Serena Deeb match that I was talking about earlier. Here's the problem. Now, there's a rumor going around right now, right? And I don't know how true it is, but it's giving me pretext to talk about this, if anything. Thunder Rosa is apparently taking the week off social media, right? That's what she said. But apparently she was sent home because she's a little miffed at how she wasn't on TV this week. No follow-up to her match against Serena Deeb, whereas every other champ was featured. Even Scorpio Sky, who technically didn't defend the belt. So she's a little miffed about that. And I'll be honest with you guys, I can't blame her. I can't blame her that she's a little pissed off, especially when you have Britt Baker, who, for all intents and purposes, is still treated as the champ in AEW right now. She came out with a belt. It's the Owen belt, but still comes out strapped, looking like a champion. And the champ, the women's champion, the world women's champion, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Then I hear people talking about, well, the matches are quiet, the crowds aren't reacting, so on and so forth. Of course not. If you don't have a division, if you're not going to have a proper division, if you're not going to build people, how are people supposed to get excited for these matches? Or if you keep cooling down people who were hot, that doesn't make sense either, i.e. Thunder Rosa. I was told by multiple people when I expressed my disgruntledness that Tony Storm was not put in the finals of the Owen tournament. I was told, Warren, don't worry, this is long-term storytelling. This is Rosa and Britt from when This is Ruby and Britt from when Ruby came in and had her match against Britt, and then she lost. This is like, this is the thing, right? Long-term storytelling. She's going to get her revenge. It didn't happen. Britt Baker wins. Britt Baker wins again. And now Britt Baker comes to the ring with a belt over her shoulder, looking like a champ, acting like a champ, looks like the champ, and is pushed like the champ. And even though she has lost the title, she is still put on top of everything. She still occupies much more space on Dynamite than Thunder Rosa does. To get over here to this situation right here, where it's like, Thunder Rosa is not even on television. Britt Baker is. And then we're told, well, the matches don't get heat. This is the exact thing that we've been talking about from going on easily 2 years at this point. Talking about the women's division being relegated to one match a week. That's not how you build. I'm sorry, that's not how you build a division, and that's not how you build stars. By putting on one match per week per show. 2 matches a week if you want to throw in Rampage in there. Okay? Let's be fair. 2 matches a week. And yet Tony Khan is hiring women, which is great, which is something we wanted. But the showcasing of the women hasn't changed. It's still the same levels, and it's still all about Britt. And it's palpable. You can feel it. There is Britt Baker fatigue right now. People are not stupid, and they're seeing it, and they're starting to feel like Britt Baker she's being charlated right now. Charlated. She's turning into a Charlotte with her booking, where it's sort of like nothing of value happens in any division, in any feud, unless Britt Baker is involved. Again, like I said earlier, Martha Hart allegedly had some kind of say in the booking in the finals. All right, cool. If she wanted to, that's fine. But, like I said also, as fans then, we see these patterns. Let's call them patterns, because this is what it is. People, you get reactions where it's like, oh, nobody's reacting to this match. Why would they react? Ruby Soho's been cooled down. She's cold as ice. Toni Storm has been cooled down after coming in really hot and having a fantastic match with Jamie Hayter. Even Jamie Hayter is not pushed to the degree she should be. The women's division, the face of the women's division, is Britt Baker. Undeniably. Which is why I think she shouldn't be afraid for her spot. None of her fans should be afraid for her spot. I was convinced that she was going to step back a little bit, maybe have some undercard feuds, but, not make it all very centered around her. But it's still all very centered around her. And now you're like, people aren't reacting to the women. You're not creating opportunities for them. There's not week in, week out, different women's matches on the card. Instead, we have to get the fucking ass boys doing nonsense. While you could be putting Toni Storm over. And my analysis remains the same. The women's division is and now they brought in Athena. Women's division is top heavy. Then there's a gaggle of prelim women who still need some seasoning, not quite there, but who are there. And there's no one in between to buffer. But you can only create that type of situation where you can have a healthy mid-card if you put on more than one match per week. Because when you put Ruby Soho on TV, she loses. That's why people are sort of cold on her now. That's why people are maybe a little cold on Toni Storm right now, because she loses. Just like in WWE, where it's like, well, we're back to square one. Who cares? The division right now is all about Britt. And it's a problem. Because they have one segment a week, and somehow Britt is most of the time involved in it. Something that happens with it. You have to do more. The division is top heavy. Your women aren't getting over because you're not giving them time to grow. And the main event that absolutely ruled. Can you believe this? Jon Moxley defeated Daniel Garcia. Both of these guys had an insane brawl on Sunday, and they're back doing the exact same thing. I loved it. Throwing suplex by Mox onto the steel steps. What the hell? Daniel Garcia busts Mox open with headbutts, opening up the stitches. Mox pours blood. Just a second time these guys main event Dynamite. Second time. There's some long-term storytelling right there. What's it going to take? The moment that Daniel Garcia gets in the ring with Jon Moxley and beats him is going to be a seminal moment. That's going to be something special, and it's going to mean big things for Garcia. I love they're building it. It's just a strong, solid pro wrestling match. Brutal, rough, right up my alley. Loved it. Spoiled. Great main event. Great main event. To a fine Dynamite. And that was the weekly wrestling inspection. I was figuring I'd go long. And here we are. Oh. But there was so much good stuff to talk about. And the MJF stuff. I mean, you could do an entire podcast just on that. I think I did. Look, I want to thank everyone for joining me live here tonight on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Death Ray, who's popping in at the very last minute. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you guys come back next week for another edition of it. In the meantime, next Tuesday is Hot Shakes and Hand Dogs, which we record here as live. Me and Sean Taggart talking about independent pro wrestling. Go check that out. If this is your first time here, subscribe, jump in, join us, do the bell thing. Make sure you never miss anything Warren Hayes related, because I like pro wrestling, and I hope you like pro wrestling too. And if so, we are going to have a fantastic relationship moving forward. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next time.